Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. Real talk, big opinions, and fearless conversations. From the front lines of politics to the latest in pop culture. From breaking sports headlines to the stories that move the world. Nothing's off limits, and nobody's holding back. Arrington Gavin is here to break it down, build it up, and keep it all the way real. So turn it up, lean in, and let's get into it. This is the Arrington Gavin Show.
What is happening, family? What's happening? Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show, your go-to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day, whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, or the latest buzz. Look, we're diving deep and keeping it real. So do me a favor, kick back, stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. My friends, on today's conversation, I'm so honored and thrilled to have on Mr. Rodney Nickens Jr. He is a candidate for Virginia State Delegate, District 90. He is a civil rights advocate. He's a political strategist. And did I mention he is the Democratic nominee for Virginia House District 90? Has a great resume, very qualified for this for running, but he is he's a young individual, which I always enjoy seeing young folks taking that leap of faith and running for office, because we live in a world right now, we have so many, in my opinion, we have so many old folks that won't give up power. And that's just how I always been. It's time that they need to leave. There's some that, hey, look, seniority means experience, and that's very true. But I do think that it's times where, okay, I don't want to be hearing about the oldest living such and such running for or still in office. I literally read an article earlier today. A congresswoman out of Ohio, 79 years old, she wants to run for re-election. I'm like, have we learned anything from a recent presidential election? I'm not going to go in there. I'm not going to go there. But I'm just saying, I enjoy seeing young people going at it and really taking that leap of faith of being an elected official, but not just on the political side, but being a community leader, doing what's right for their community and their constituents. So again, I'm honored to have on Rodney. We have a lot of mutual friends. I met him a few times. I had the opportunity, which I mentioned with you all last show, I had the opportunity of emceeing the Pride in the Peak, the 2025 Pride in the Peak, which is a Pride event that is held in my home city of Chesapeake, Virginia. I had the honor of being a co-MC for that awesome event. Ran into Rodney, and it was like I knew him for years, right? It was like I knew him for years. So it was very great to meet him in person, but we've chatted up on the phone before, and just, trying to get on his schedule to come here on the show. But before I bring him on later on, I want to read just a little bit more about Mr. Nickens. So, a leader in the Black LGBTQ plus movement, he helped mobilize communities in the aftermath of Proposition 8, and has advocated tirelessly for marriage equality, housing justice, and economic opportunity. Now, when he wasn't a resident in Virginia, he was a resident of the state of California. Now, in the California state legislature, Rodney helped pass landmark civil rights legislation and authored The Road Ahead, a groundbreaking housing equity report that reshaped regional planning in the Bay Area. Now, he later served on the Housing Methodology Committee at ABAG, influencing long-term housing policy. Now, if elected, Mr. Nickens Jr. would become one of the first openly LGBTQ plus Black legislators in Virginia history. Now, he's pushing to run on running a justice-centered, people-powered campaign to protect civil rights, invest in communities, and build more equitable Commonwealth. Very many things that is very important in this piece. So I'm, again, very excited to have him on. And look, he will be running against a gentleman who has been in the Virginia House for quite some time, I believe since 2014. And I want to say a state delegate, it's every 2 years. So you count how many terms the gentleman has been in office. Before we move forward, for those who are just now chiming in onto the Arrington Gavin Show, thank you so much for taking 1 hour of your time. I am your friend, your host, Arrington Gavin. Do me a favor. Please follow us on all of our social media platforms. You can follow us on Instagram, Blue Sky X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as subscribe to our Substack page. We are continuing to grow that as well, because having a 1 hour program, we tend to we run out of time discussing what we want to discuss, so we kind of push that aside, and we share that on our Substack page. In addition to that, look, there's many ways you can tune into the Arrington Gavin show. You can stream us, for those who's currently streaming us right now on YouTube. The Arrington Gavin show is our YouTube channel. You can also watch us on Rumble, as well as on Goatverse TV, the Goatverse TV app. If you haven't downloaded, please do so. It's available on the App Store, Google Play Store, Roku, as well as Amazon Fire TV. You can also listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's iHeart, Odyssey. We're available on all major podcast platforms. In addition to that, you can tune into us on the radio airwaves. Shout out to our listeners listening to us right now in the New Orleans area by way of WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin show Monday through Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time. And I also want to shout out our listeners in the Metro Atlanta area who are tuning to us right now by way of WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin show weeknights at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. All right. I think I've said it all. My friends. But still, if I know what I'm forgetting. Check us out. Check out our website, www.theagshow.com. Just keeps you up to speed of what we do in the community. It has some, just a little photo slideshow of the folks that I've had the opportunity of either interviewing or just networking with. I love to talk about the power of networking. You can also email us through our website if you want me to discuss a certain topic or that you would love for me to share here on the program. You can email us through there. You can also tune into some most recent episodes through our website. Again, the website is www.theagshow.com. And yeah, I think that's all I got for you. So look, my friends, we are going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will bring on our special guest, Rodney Nickens Jr., again, candidate for Virginia House District 90. So, my friends, do not go anywhere. You are listening to the Arrington Gavin Show.
Every man has a story to tell. Your ambitions, your achievements, your legacy. Your suit should reflect that story, crafted precisely, designed for impact, and tailored exclusively for you. We work with only the finest fabrics, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends from world-renowned mills in Italy, the UK, and India. These fabrics are the foundation of custom suits that exude elegance and stand the test of time. But a suit isn't just about fabric, it's about fit and it's about confidence, and it all starts with you. When you work with me, you'll receive a personalized consultation, whether in person or over Zoom. Together we'll explore your vision and discuss your needs. And we're going to bring your ideas to life. My journey as a designer includes apprenticing under New York-based designer Clavon Leonard, showcasing collections at New York Fashion Week, Algeria Fashion Week, and the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. That experience is what we bring to every suit we create, from weddings to corporate events and everything in between. We specialize in crafting one-of-a-kind suits for life's most significant moments. Dapper Luke has been recognized as one of Baltimore's best menswear in 2023, and I was honored to be one of the 10 designers selected for the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. With over 900 satisfied clients, we proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore, bringing world-class designs to these incredible communities. We don't just make suits, we craft confidence. Your suit will fit your body, your style, and it will tell your story. Book your free online personal consultation today. Visit www.dapperluke.com.
What's up, y'all? Welcome now.
And we still in traffic.
I don't look familiar, do I? Not in this seat.
Hey, what's that you listening to?
Here to host today.
Hey, turn it up.
With me?
Yeah, this that new Goatverse app. I got you.
So y'all want to know where the goats are? They're off on the sidelines.
Looking for fresh, relevant content wherever you go?
What was the name of that he said?
Introducing Goatverse TV.
Goatverse, that's what it's called.
The free streaming app that brings you the best podcasts, current events, and thought-provoking opinions all in one place. Download it now from the Apple Store or Play Store. In Goats, we trust.
Order your beard care products with Rugged Evolution. We're your local beard care line that supports the maintenance of your full, mature beard. Our line includes conditioning shampoos, moisturizers, balms, oils, shaving lotions, and exfoliating soaps. These products moisturize, hydrate, nourish, and have all the natural ingredients for a healthy beard. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. And remember,
Rugged is the new smooth.
All right, my friends, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. As I mentioned before, I have a special guest that I'm thrilled to have on the program. Now, you know how much I advocate for young individuals that are pursuing public office, right? Whether if it's on a local level, state level, federal level. We're in a world right now, my friends, where we have got to push, and not just push, but support our young people that are taking that leap of faith, because in my opinion, our whole folks who are in charge, who are making up laws, whether it's on again on a local, state, or federal level, they're folks who have been doing it for far too long. And look, respect to them, because you can consider them very knowledgeable on the position, but there's just moments where it's like, okay, when is enough enough? Me personally, I'm an advocate on term limits. There is no way in hell, in my opinion, why there are folks that are leaving this earth while still serving an office position. How many special elections do we need to continue to do? We can't have that. So I'm always just thrilled talking with young people that say, hey, look, I want to take that leap of faith and do what's right and serve my community. Like my guest today, Mr. Rodney Nickens. I feel like I think I might be messing up his last name. Please apologize. I apologize, my friend. We're gonna bring on the man of the hour. Let me go ahead and bring on our special guest. How you doing, my friend?
Hi, Arrington. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I so apologize for the mispronunciation. Can you please pronounce the last name again for me?
Absolutely. Arrington, I am Rodney Nickens Jr., your candidate for the Virginia House of Delegates in District 90.
Now you see how easy he said that. I'm over here. I mean, see, and it's funny because we were joking before the show how educated this man is. By the way, I don't want to have to brag, but I'm looking at the resume. I'm like, I made it. I graduated. It's been a while, but I graduated. Didn't know if I was gonna make it, Lord, but I made it. But man, I'm just again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come here on the show for a great and informative conversation. Can I first, if you wouldn't mind, again, you already mentioned your name, but just give us a little small background about your, just your upbringing and what kind of help led you currently in this place.
Absolutely. Listen, I am the son of a nurse and an electrician who prayed. I am one of four. I have 2 sisters and an older brother. My parents were working class. My mom worked 12-hour shifts to put food on the table. My dad started his own electrical company here in Chesapeake, Nickens Electric, and probably installed many ceiling fans for some of your listeners here in Hampton Roads. I had the great opportunity to go away to college. I was the first person in my family to earn a college degree.
Wow. I
got my undergrad in history and then went on to graduate school and studied African American studies at UCLA, and then earned my law degree at the University of California, Hastings College of the Law, now UC Law San Francisco, the same law school that Vice President Kamala Harris attended. But, my story should not be extraordinary. It should be the story that we hear from all of our young Black men growing up here in Hampton Roads. But unfortunately, even still today, it's not. And so I am running for the Virginia House of Delegates because we must do much better than what we're doing for the next generation. And we must instill the belief in every young student, every Black boy, every Black girl, every person in this city, that this is a city where anybody can make it, that you don't got to get lucky. You just have to work hard, stay out of trouble, play by the rules, and you can achieve your wildest dreams. And so I'm just so grateful to be here with you tonight, Brother Arrington. I am running because I believe we are failing our youth. And so it's my responsibility to pay it forward. I've been tremendously blessed, and that's why I'm in this race today.
Rodney, can you dissect that a little bit when you say we're failing our youth? Now, I can think of a few things in my head, but I would like for you to share, when you say failing our youth, please speak a little more in details with that.
Absolutely. Well, let's think about it in terms of this past election here in 2024. 20,000 voters in my district alone did not vote. How many of those do you think were under 40? Young people that I'm talking to today do not feel like politics impacts the issues that they care about on a day-to-day basis. They don't feel like their leaders can relate to them and are speaking to them and their communities. And therefore, they don't feel like they should even participate, because why bother? Why bother?
That's true.
When the average age of Congress is past retirement age.
I mean, it kills me, and I hate to cut you off, Rodney, but it kills me. We all see it. There have been folks in the past being wheelchaired in.
Absolutely.
Wheelchaired in, and time and time again. I mean, I think this past year alone, I'm just speaking in Congress. I think just in the Democratic Party alone, it's been almost 7 members that have passed away. Those who were sick when they started to run for re-election. So again, it's just I want to mention those things. And I was still pretty critical with again with the term limits, with the age thing. And some folks will counter saying, well, more young people has to come up there and vote. But I'm like, but they do. And I'm sorry, I've seen time and time again, folks will take, but they don't receive that support system from certain folks who have the power to do so. And that's a whole nother story. I actually spoke about a little bit on a previous show, because there's elections, there's races happening all across the United States. But it is very unfortunate. And like to add on what you were saying, young people don't feel it's not relatable. It doesn't make sense to them. It's the average age that are really watching the cable news are not young people. I'll say it again, y'all. If y'all hear that, Fox News is beating in the ratings, that's because Fox News got a high ass volume, excuse my French, volume of old people that tune into them. Seeing it, there's not a lot of young people. They get their news from digital, 30-second clips, which is, don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but you really have to speak more details and well, not speak more details, but do more research than just short clips, short films, this and that and the other. But to I don't know if you were finished. I know I kind of cut you off, but when you're saying that they don't feel like it relates to them, what do you say for those, because you are an advocate for voting rights, and how do you encourage young people, hey, look, this is important? How do you encourage folks like that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I agree with everything that you said. I'm not going to belabor the point. I got my start as an intern at the Department of Justice in the voting rights section. So I get the importance of voting rights. I've worked with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. I started out after college as a community organizer with Barack Obama's first presidential campaign. So this has been, my trajectory and my life's work in terms of my professional career, trying to convey the importance of young people being activated and motivated to get involved in our political process. It hasn't been easy, And so one of the things that I have come to realize is that it is not just the message, it's the messenger, which is why in 2019, I started my own political consulting firm, R&N Strategies, to help recruit, train and equip young people to run for office at the local, state, and federal level across the country. I've worked on the Abrams campaign and most recently on the Harris campaign, and campaigns all up and down the ballot to help spur young people to get engaged, to run, and to build a pipeline of young. I'm a Democrat, so I'm working with Democrats, young Democrats, especially young Democrats of color.
God bless you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
And particularly women and LGBTQ folks to run for office. And so that's been the work that I've been doing for the past 5 years, and it hasn't been easy. I'm not going to lie to you. And as it pertains to Fox News, one of the things that I saw in this past election was that the Republican Party not only out-organized us, but they out-messaged us because they had a messaging and a media ecosystem that did not just rest on Fox News and traditional media alone, but also included podcasts, short form clips, and social media, engaging TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. They had a holistic media and digital media strategy that just was not well matched by the Democratic Party. And so that's why I started my own podcast, the Rodney Kendall podcast, because I knew that it was important for me to get my message out on my terms and not depend on legacy media, not depend on mainstream media to speak for me. I had to speak directly to the people, and I had to use my own voice to do it. And so that's what I've done. And that's what I think is important for the Democratic Party to understand, is that this is a new age, and we have to communicate in multiple ways to meet people where they are and connect with voters on election day.
I think that's extremely important because, again, I'm a registered independent, but I will say this. I will say that one party is a lot worse than the other, right? There is one side that continues to bend the knee to a person who by far is nowhere near qualified to make. I won't even trust him to make toast, and he's in leading the country. And so that passes down to from the federal level to a state level to even a local level, because they're like, okay, look, if he won, right, the majority ruled, and like you spoke on strategy, right? You spoke on, hey, they had a digital presence, or they used a digital strategy that really benefited, because it's like, wait a minute, you have to realize linear television, cable, that is long gone. The old strategy, and so many knowledgeable folks. I want to shout out Roland Martin. He's somebody that I'm a huge fan of, and he shares time and time again on folks who who passes away from trying to work with him and help get the message across, this and that and the other, and they miss out on opportunities. And what's interesting is I don't know if you've read on this, but it's been said that a lot of young men are leaning more conservative. I think that's quite interesting, because majority of the higher up conservative parties is about stocks, money, this and that and the other. I'm like, these young folks haven't even had a job yet, and I'm like, how are you leaning towards conservative? Like, what is it? Is one side more entertaining than you? Is one side pushing off this, hey, I'm a macho man kind of mentality or something? Like, what is the deal? What do you have to say about that, Rodney, as far as hearing young men, I wouldn't say women, but just young men alone, is leaning more conservative?
Well, I think
I say this because you're running, and you're running, and you're not running to just receive Democratic votes. You're here to receive all votes from both sides.
Absolutely. I'm running to win. And let me be clear. When we hear those type of sound bites, we have to be critical thinkers, and we have to interpret that information critically and not just receive everything on face value. Once again, I started this conversation today with the note that 20,000 voters in my district alone, District 90 in Southern Chesapeake, didn't vote. So if 20,000 people didn't vote, who do you think that 20,000 demographic is made up of? It's our demographic. It's young people, it's young Black men, it's young folks under 50. So when you hear things like, oh, well, Black men are trending conservative. Well, which Black men? You know, what you're hearing is that young men who vote, who show up on election day to cast their ballot, are trending conservative. What you're not hearing is about the Black men that were disenfranchised. What you're not hearing about is the Black men who had their vote thrown out. What you're not hearing about is about the Black men who didn't feel that their vote would count even if they did vote, so they didn't show up. So that statistic in and of itself is misleading, because what it is telling you is that the folks that show up on election day, that is the folks that we're saying speaks for the entire populace, and that's just not the case. 20%, what I've heard in Virginia, 20% of the actual population is actually voting in our elections.
20%?
20%. So if 20% of the actual population of eligible voters actually show up, to me, or for both parties, that's a failure.
That's a massive failure. Come again, 20%?
That's a failure in voter mobilization. That's a failure in voter turnout. That's a failure in get out the vote efforts. That is a failure. But the reality is that the way the system is set up, it is not set up to incentivize mass voter participation. It's set up to incentivize mass voter suppression. And that's what we saw with the election of my sister, Stacey Abrams, in Georgia. That's what we saw with the election of my brother, or the candidacy of my brother, Andrew Gillum, in Florida, who lost by 1%.
1%.
1%. Do you really mean to tell me that he came within 1% of being the first Black governor of the state of Florida? And it was because folks didn't show up? No, this is voter suppression. And it has been in the DNA of the American voting system since 1965, when our grandparents were first eligible to vote. And it is incumbent upon both parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, to do everything that they can to ensure that every citizen and every resident in their municipality has the opportunity to exercise their vote. But no, what we are seeing is them do everything to discourage them from doing so. In Georgia, we're seeing folks being criminalized and penalized for giving water to folks waiting in long lines to vote. What does that say to our babies? It's not even worth it for me to actually show up, because I'm going to have to wait in a line, and it's going to be hot. And if somebody gives me water, I might go to jail. This is intimidation at its finest. After the Shelby v. Counter decision, Shelby Holder v. Holder decision in Alabama back in 2000, I believe it was 2011. Voter ID laws were proliferated across the country after the Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was struck down. Do you know what that resulted in? A flood of voting rights changes across the country. And guess where? In the South. The same jurisdictions that were covered by the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and the same jurisdictions that were the most egregious voting rights violators. So you mean to tell me this is a coincidence?
Wow. It's you bring up moments in this, just the city of Chesapeake. I can recall when there was, for early voting, they closed down 3 precincts. I don't know if it wasn't last election, but maybe the early voting elections before. They closed 3 precincts, and I've spoken with some folks that work at those polling sites. They said it was no turnout. There was nobody there, right? I still think, hey, folks still relied on that spot as their voting, because you're looking at neighborhoods that is for, predominantly older retired folks. And it's like, that's the closest that they can do. And if they don't really trust the mail-in ballot system, then it's like, okay, they're not voting. And so that's one case. And then recently there was the issue about possibly, and just on the local level, possibly doing a district system or award system for the city of Chesapeake, right? Because it's keeping elected officials held accountable, being, getting in contact with them. And I'm like, why isn't this not happening? In my opinion, I've mentioned it earlier, a lot of folks want to keep that powerful position that they're in. I've had the opportunity to have some of the folks representing the local city on, and we disagreed, but we had just civil discourse, civil dialogue. But it just, for me, you're not doing what's beneficial for the people. At the end of the day, being an elected official is about serving, being of service, being a servant. You are the employee, they are the boss. But folks don't feel that way. Folks feel as though there's been so many promises met in the past, the same old typical talking points left and right. And it's like, why even bother? Now, you mentioned about the issues with voting. First of all, Rodney, I just want to say, the steam coming from my screen after hearing that. I don't know, y'all. Did y'all feel that heat coming from y'all radio station? My man was preaching, y'all. My man was preaching. Let him use you. That's what they say in church. Let him use you. I was like, where is this? And I hate to always come for the left, but we've had the conversation. In this day and age, I want to see the left win. Right, as a registered independent, I want to see the left do good. Why aren't we seeing more of someone like you? Why are we not seeing people that support? And I'm not trying to get you in trouble yet, but I'm just saying, like, why is that? Because I feel as though what you just said will help encourage more young people to say, this is why it's important for me to cast my vote. This is why it's my right, it's my power. Set aside from, I'm sorry, I've never cared for the protest route. I've done it. I've done it a couple times, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't think that sometimes that's always going to be the kicker. So it's like, you have a lot of power in your vote.
Well, Arrington, the reality is this. Not only do you have a lot of power in your vote, you have a lot of power in your voice. And what has been done is to make us feel as if our voices don't matter, but they do. Think back to 2020, when George Floyd was murdered before all of our eyes across the world, and it galvanized protests in every city, in every state across the country, and in many countries around the world. When folks were speaking out and corporations were, proclaiming that they supported Black Lives Matter, and folks were, committing all of these dollars to supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion, how things have changed.
Oh, boy, has it. Boy, has it. Okay. We're seeing people's true colors, right?
Correct. But that doesn't mean that we let our foot off the gas.
Yeah.
If it's one thing that we have learned from folks like my personal idol, Congressman John Lewis, the late Congressman John Lewis in Georgia, we all must embrace the idea of good trouble. And it is always, always, always time to do the right thing and to speak up in favor of justice. And so when we see injustice, wherever it raises its ugly head, we have a responsibility to speak out. That is our First Amendment right. Do you know there are countries around the world who would literally die for the rights that we don't even appreciate and take for granted in this country, here in the United States? The right to peacefully assemble, the right to protest and petition your government, the right of freedom of speech and freedom of the press and freedom of the media, the opportunity for you and myself to sit on the internet today and to speak about issues of public importance on the internet and to broadcast that to a wide audience. That is something that we take for granted. It's not a given. In many countries around the world, there's censorship and there's penalties. And, so I think we have to one, appreciate the rights that our grandfathers and our grandmothers fought for us to be able to exist today and to have the freedoms and the liberties that we take for granted. We got to actually use those, because democracy is not something that is a guarantee in every generation. It's something that must be fought for. It's something that you must die and bleed for. Generations before us have done that. And now it is our time to pick up the baton and to carry it forward, or lest we lose democracy in our generation.
Woo. Look, I think that's a perfect way to take a quick break, take a quick breather, folks. I'm telling you, I told you it was going to be a good conversation. You know, I don't give you anything shorter than a great conversation. I give it to you real and authentic, zero sugarcoating, and that's what we hear. We enjoy here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Look, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Again, I am joining with Mr. Rodney Nickens Jr., candidate for Virginia House District 90. Don't go anywhere, my friends. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Jazarian Learning Institute, LLC, is a hybrid learning center that strives to educate adults and children in all fields. During the day, we offer programs that are focused on developing students from pre-K to 12th grade, which includes tutoring, homeschool co-op, an after-school program, SAT, ACT prep, and many more engaging academic programs. Our adult education programs include workforce trainings, GED prep, life coaching, various seminars, and many more. Our vision is to train and educate in a positive way that will lead to a positive change in the world, one person at a time. For more information, visit us online at JazarianLearningInstitute.com or call us at 757-208-7407.
You know, just like a winning team evolves throughout the season, so does your beard. I'm Arrington Gavin, proud CEO of Rugged Evolution Beard Care. With our premium oils, balms, and grooming tools, it's everything you need to level up your beard game. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a rookie, Rugged Evolution is the new smooth. Order now and dominate the beard game like never before. Rugged Evolution Beard Care, because every beard deserves to be legendary.
Let me tell you something most people get wrong about suits. A suit isn't just about you wearing it. It's how you show the world who you are. It's your handshake before you say a word, your presence when you step into any room. That's why we design statements at Dapper Luke. We don't just make suits. We'll start with the fabrics that tell your story, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends sourced from the finest mills in Italy, the UK, and India. Then we'll combine that with your vision, your personality, and your style. Every detail is tailored to you, from the fit to the finish. Whether for your wedding, a gala, the boardroom, we specialize in creating custom suits that are unique, just like the men who wear them. We spent years perfecting this craft, apprenticing under designers in New York and showcasing collections in New York and for Baltimore Fashion Week. None of that matters as much as seeing the look on your face when you try on your custom suit. Over 900 clients have already trusted us to deliver the best custom suits. They trust me to deliver the confidence. We proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore and would be honored to bring your vision to life next. Let's create something unforgettable. Book your free consultation today at www.dapperluke.com.
All right, family, welcome back to the Arrington Gavin Show. Welcome back. I am here joining with our special guest. Look, we had a very passionate conversation previously, just on the importance of voting and why it's needed for our young people to we encourage you all, please get out there, vote. Primaries are just as important as general election. We just finished up having primaries recently. And it was a juicy primary, but a lot of folks were saying the same thing. The turnout was extremely slim. It was a small turnout during the primary season. But luckily for Rodney is the nominee, so he didn't have to go through the stress of becoming having to run in the primaries. He will be the Democratic nominee for the House District 90. Now, Rodney, if you can explain to folks, for one, why the Virginia State House? Why run for this position? And if you could explain the position of a state delegate to our listeners.
Absolutely. So let me start with the second part first, because I think a lot of people get confused. So, okay. So we have three branches of government in the United States. We have our executive branch, we have our legislative branch, and then we have our judicial branch. And that is at the federal level and the state level. So all states have three branches of government too. Okay. So the legislative branch at both the state level and the federal level makes laws that impact every single person in this country. Right now, unfortunately, the Republicans control both houses of Congress. So the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate. And the president is a Republican, and the Supreme Court is dominated by judicial appointees, justices, who were appointed by Republican presidents. So what that means is that it's very hard for Democrats to pass any legislation at the federal level. If there's any hope for preserving democracy in 2025, the year of our Lord, it is going to be in the states. And right now, Virginia and New Jersey are two states that serve as bellwethers to the party in power in Washington. We are going to elect a governor, a lieutenant governor, an attorney general, and 100 delegates to the Virginia General Assembly this November. And
all 100 seats.
All 100 seats are up for election. And that's going to send a powerful message to Washington about how Virginia voters feel about what's going on in D.C., whether it's this disastrous war that is taking place unauthorized, unconstitutionally in Iran, whether it's our failure to stand up for democracy and justice in Gaza and Ukraine, or whether it's the disastrous federal budget cuts to agencies like, for example, the Department of Veterans Affairs. Here in Hampton Roads, we have the highest number of military personnel, both active duty and retired, in the country. We have the largest naval base station in the world. How do you think that's going to impact the families of Hampton Roads? How do you think it's going to impact our young people here in Hampton Roads, who are first to sign up and first to be deployed in times of war? And so these issues have a particular salience here in Virginia, whether it's budget cuts or furloughs or civilian layoffs. And so Virginia voters are going to go to the polls this fall and send a loud message to Washington. And I'm running for the House of Delegates because I want to be one of those voices that is fighting for those voters, fighting for those families, fighting for veterans, fighting for seniors who are being threatened with cuts to Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security, fighting for our young people who are being threatened with cuts to the Department of Education, who are uncertain if they're ever going to be able to afford a college education, like I was so grateful and blessed to have been able to do so by the grace of God and student loans and financial aid, which I'm still paying off, by the way.
Yeah, my wife says all the time, look, what about these student loans? Because
what about them?
she's a person that also extended this, she went to go get her master's. And I always tell her, I'm like, I like to collect watches and shades. She likes to collect degrees. We two different folks. We know we two different folks.
Listen,
but that's a good hobby, though. That's a good hobby. I understand. That's a good hobby. But you're absolutely right.
With your wife.
Got
too many degrees.
Too many degrees, bro. Too many degrees. But you're absolutely right. Hampton Roads alone, we are a military town. Majority of folks are government and federal workers, right? It's sad because I can't tell you the number of folks I've spoken with that's like, I'm always like sweating before I go to work because I gotta check these emails and I don't know what, I spoke to a friend not too long ago. Her husband, 30 years in Department of Labor, no longer 30 years, right? He was preparing to retire in maybe I'll just say a few, but they gave him the say, gotta go. And it's so sad that and then you go on with the cuts from the Department of Education and so many other issues with that. Now, prior, the Democratic Party did have the majority on in the state. They had the majority in the House, but I think by like one seat, if I'm not mistaken. I think by one seat. So like you mentioned before, all 100 seats are up for grabs. I personally think, I mean, what has been your grade on the recent administration in the state of Virginia? Right, we have Governor Glenn Youngkin, Winston Sears, that lieutenant governor, who is the candidate for governor. She's running for governor, Republican nominee. What has been your grade of what you have recently seen, and is that even another added boost to why you want to say, hey, look, this is why I'm running for the House?
Absolutely. Listen, people think that just because Virginia has voted blue a few election cycles, that we are this shining blue state like my blazer. That is not the case. Virginia is very much a purple state. We are very much a battleground state. And right now we have divided government. We have a Democratic-controlled House and Senate and a Republican-controlled executive branch. Republicans control the governor's mansion. Both the governor and the lieutenant governor are Republicans, as well as the attorney general's office, which are the three most important state-level offices in the state, in the Commonwealth. And so that makes it difficult for us to pass progressive legislation that will benefit working families in Virginia. That makes it difficult for us to pass a budget that reflects the values of working families across the Commonwealth, from Hampton Roads to Fairfax and Richmond and everywhere in between. So what we need to do this November is elect a Democratic trifecta. What is that? A Democratic governor. That's why I'm supporting Abigail Spanberger for governor. We need to elect a Democratic lieutenant governor and a Democratic attorney general. Right now, Hampton Roads is very proud to have Jay Jones running for attorney general. And if elected, he'll be the first Black attorney general in the Commonwealth's history. So not only are we on the precipice of electing our first woman governor, but we could potentially elect our first Black attorney general as well. And of course, I'm supporting our lieutenant governor nominee, Ghazala Hashimi, our first Muslim woman and woman of South Asian descent as well. And so I'm running because not only do we need to protect our one seat majority in the House, but we need to expand that. And one of the things that Dr. Fergie Reed, whose legendary father first posited this notion, is that we must compete everywhere. We must show up everywhere, even where it's hard, and especially where it's hard. And so I'm running in a district that President Trump won by 3,000 votes last fall, because I believe that those 3,000 folks did not get what they voted for. They did not vote for war in Iran. They did not vote for record level inflation and the cost of everything going up but your wages. They did not vote for unemployment rates spiraling across the country or record layoffs in the federal government. And so I'm running because I believe that with given an opportunity to make a different decision, they just might.
Wow. I was just going to ask, your District 90 has been led by a gentleman, Delegate Jay Leftwich, who has been in office since 2014. What are some of your strategy? How do you reel those voters to switch that seat, a seat that has been red for quite some time? And I know we had done the whole district change. So I think he was originally like, what district was it? I forget what it was. District 80 or District 70 something, and then it switched and then changed to District 90. But he has been in office in that seat since 2014. How do you, as a newcomer you're not a newcomer to the political scene, but you're new as a candidate. This is your first time running for an elected position. How do you, again, a seat that is, like you said, has won by what, 3,000 votes for that voted for Trump? How do you change that seat? What are some of your strategies that you will be doing, and what are issues that you have seen so far of, again, why you're running for that seat?
Well, let me just say that my hometown, the city of Chesapeake, Virginia, is a beautiful, diverse, suburban community that is growing, that is vibrant, that is home to thriving industries, great public schools. I'm the proud product of Chesapeake Public Schools. I went to Oscar Smith High School in my district. And so I believe that our district is changing. Our city is changing. We are seeing an influx of young families. We're seeing an influx of families of color and workers of color. One of the issues that I am particularly passionate about is housing, because like much of the state and the country, Virginia and Chesapeake has not built enough housing to keep up with the cost of living and the growing population. And so we need to do a much better job of building housing that's affordable to working families. We need to do a much better job of bringing down the cost of rent for working families. And we need to make home ownership a reality for far more families than we're currently doing. And so those are some of my top priorities when I get to Richmond. Additionally, education. Right now my district has some of the best high schools in the region, but Oscar Smith High School, my school that I graduated from, is currently experiencing record overcrowding. And so we need to do a much better job of reducing class sizes, the student to teacher ratio. We need to do a much better job of paying teachers what they're worth for the jobs they're doing. And we need to do a better job of ensuring that our students receive a world-class education that prepares them for the workforce or for higher education if they so choose. And so those are some of the issues that I feel that need a stronger advocate for. My opponent has been missing in action on all of the issues that I've just mentioned. Not to mention, he has received a record level approval from the gun lobby, which, as you know, and many of your listeners probably know, is standing in the way of meaningful gun reform legislation that will prevent more mass shootings in schools across the country, including many of the schools here in Virginia. We all remember what happened, sadly, at Virginia Tech years ago. And unfortunately, school shootings and gun violence has gotten more prolific in the years that have passed since. And we have not been able to pass meaningful gun reform legislation that would keep dangerous weapons of war out of the hands of folks who have no business holding them. And so these are some of the issues that I plan to be an advocate for and a champion for, in addition to expanding access to health care for our vulnerable, our disabled, our seniors, our young families who are experiencing poverty. These are the issues that my opponent has failed to stand up for, and which I feel that working families in my district deserve a champion for. And so that's what I'm running for. Those are the issues that I'm fighting for. And I think those are the issues that are going to lead us to victory.
I think those are important issues too, Rodney, because when it comes to affordable housing, Chesapeake is no cheap place to live.
No, sir.
Out of the seven cities, and I, just to kind of catch our listeners up, for those who are not familiar with the, state of Virginia or the Hampton Roads area, Hampton Roads has 7 cities, right? You have your Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Hampton, Portsmouth, Newport News, and Suffolk. I always leave Suffolk out. My bad, Suffolk. I always leave.
Can't forget about Suffolk.
Can't forget about Suffolk. Can't forget about Suffolk. Can't forget about Suffolk. Wait, look, all the peanut farms and stuff out in Suffolk.
Correct. And our brother Darius Clark is running a tough race out there, so we got to support him.
That's right. That's right. Another a person who made history, one of the youngest elected, if I'm not mistaken. That's so right. Again, that's absolutely right on that one. And within those cities, you have, Virginia Beach and Chesapeake, for one, being the largest city population wise in the state of Virginia, and Virginia is a big state, y'all. Virginia is a big state when it comes to obviously tourism and I'll say expensive living. You have Virginia Beach, and I'll put Chesapeake. I'll put those two in the top 2, because when it comes to first-time home buyers, I come across a lot of folks. I was at a function, and a parent who's very, very involved with a lot of the local groups. She had said that her daughter just graduated from college, and she has a job in Chesapeake. She would love to live in Chesapeake, but she cannot. So she moved to Suffolk. And so majority of residents they have to. I mean, oh my goodness, the traffic, that was unfortunate. Everybody, Chesapeake is a beautiful city, right? It's a beautiful city. It has some improvements, I might say, as a resident, as a native, as a business owner, it has some improvements. But yes, it is very expensive. So I truly believe, as far as the affordable housing route is extremely important. Is there any ideas that you can speak of, Rodney, that that can help? Please do share. I know we have about maybe like less than 3 minutes, but if you don't mind sharing just that quick one, and then
well, I did write a paper on this topic. So I would encourage folks to go to www.nonprofithousing.org to read my report, The Road Ahead, a 21st Century to Housing Strategy for the San Francisco Bay Area, which I feel that can be a model across the country. But no, I think one of the things that we must do is resist the temptation of suburban sprawl. It is an illusion. We cannot build our way out of our housing shortage by building luxury homes for suburban families in the outskirts of town. That's not going to work. That's going to increase traffic congestion. It's going to increase the strain on our public infrastructure, our resources, our schools, our hospitals, our emergency rooms, etc. We must embrace what I call upzoning. And that means infill development, building multifamily homes close to jobs and transit centers. In Summit Point, we have beautiful communities rising up in downtown Chesapeake. We must invest in development in that community and ensuring that we're building affordable housing in that community where it can absorb that population growth. And we must continue to build, to do infrastructure improvements around the city to reduce the reliance on the automobile as the primary means of transportation. We got to invest in public transit. We got to invest in high quality and high frequency rapid transit to get people out of their cars and into alternative modes of transportation. So those are just some of the few suggestions that I cover in my report, but I would encourage folks to go to online to review those in detail.
Absolutely. Well, look, my friend, I truly enjoyed this conversation. Please don't be a stranger. Before you go, how can folks continue to support and again follow you up with with your campaign?
Well, one of the things I want to highlight while I still have time is that we will be partnering with Thriving Trans Men of Color to host a BIPOC Pride celebration event in September. It's an organizing opportunity. It's an empowerment opportunity. It's the week before early voting. It's going to be in Virginia Beach. And so that's one way to get engaged with our campaign. Additionally, I would encourage folks to go online. I am active on social media. You can follow me online at www.rodney4virginia.com, as well on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and TikTok. Rodney for Virginia, as well as Rodney for Delegate. In addition to that, I would encourage folks to subscribe to my podcast and my Substack, the Rodney Kendall Podcast and the Rodney Kendall Substack, available exclusively on Substack. And feel free to contact me and reach out at any time. I am very accessible and approachable, and I'm always open to ideas, suggestions, and concerns on how I can do a better job of reaching out to our constituents and our community.
Well, Rodney, my friend, I truly enjoyed this conversation. Look, don't go anywhere. I don't want to chop it up with you just a little bit after this show. But again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you got me fired up. You got the folks listening and watching fired up. And again, y'all, for those who are watching, I put up those sites right there. So for more information, look his website right there, www.rodney4virginia.com. So ways, and you look, when it comes campaign, you got to donate. I know we don't do this a lot. I don't do this a lot for folks. Really, I don't do it for anybody, but I'm doing it for Rodney here. Please donate, because again, you hear the passion right there. And you gotta support the movement. Take care, my friend. Look, don't go anywhere though, because I want to chop it up with you. All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed yet another great conversation here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Please be sure to support and tune in weeknights. Available on all digital and streaming platforms, including radio airwaves. Peace and blessings. I'll talk to you soon. I'm out.
That's it for tonight on the Arrington Gavin Show. Thanks for tapping in and keeping the conversation alive. Don't forget, stay connected with us on all platforms. Follow at Arrington Gavin on Instagram, Blue Sky, and X, and subscribe to the official Substack for exclusive takes and deep dives you won't get anywhere else. We're here every weeknight, same time, same energy, same real talk. Until next time, stay bold, stay sharp, and stay true. That's what we do on the Arrington Gavin Show. Peace.